Hi everyone, my name is Cynthia. Let's talk books, and let's talk one book in particular. Today I have a review of The Mothers by Brit Bennett. So this is the book that I found out about through Jessie from Jessie's Shelf. I'll link her channel and the video that she talked about this book down below. And she said it dealt with reproductive justice, and she didn't give too much information on it, just, hey, this is a controversial topic. Anybody else that might have read this book or wants to read this book, let me know so we can chat. And I haven't had a chance to chat with her about it yet, but I wanted to go ahead and film my thoughts on this because it's been, I think, about a week now since I've read it. So it's sunk in, and the more I let this book marinate in my head, the more I really love it. I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But let me start off by saying that, yes, this is a book about reproductive justice topics. Trigger warnings for discussions of suicide and abortion. So right off the bat, just FYI. So let me start off with what this book, the central story of this book. We're following Nadia Turner, and Nadia lost her mother to suicide. So this happened off the page. I did feel like I needed to give a trigger warning for discussions of suicide because it plays a central role of kind of describing where Nadia is when we encounter her in the story, at the beginning of the story. She is a teenager. She is 17 years old, about to go off to college. She is incredibly intelligent and has the grades and the capacity to pretty much go wherever she wants to go for college. She has the future is wide open in front of her. But her mom has committed suicide, and her dad has become an absentee father, most likely because he doesn't know how to raise a teenager on his own, how to handle his wife's suicide. So as a result, he really just immerses himself in the community of the church that his wife attended. And so that's his life pretty much revolves around that. And we don't see a whole lot of the father because the story is told largely from Nadia's point of view. And so she doesn't experience him a lot in her life and kind of craves that. So as a result of her being lost and not having the tools to deal with her mother's death, she kind of acts out. She starts skipping school, and on one of those days, she goes to a diner where Luke Shepard works. And Luke Shepard is the son of the pastor at the church she goes to. And he is kind of a, what was the sport he played? He played baseball? No, not baseball. Football. I believe he played football. And he got injured. And he was headed to the major leagues, gets injured, and now he's back home working at a diner. So his life has not ended up where he expected it to. And they end up forming a relationship. As a result, then, Nadia and him and a bunch of other people end up facing a choice. They have to make a choice as a result of something that happens. And Nadia is very firm in the choice that she makes. Luke participates. He makes some choices as well. His family makes some choices. After that choice is made, then we enter the phase of, all right, what are the repercussions of having made this choice? And Nadia finds an unlikely friend. So as much as this book is about the choices that Nadia and other people make, it's also about relationships, and not just romantic relationships, but friendships, father-daughter relationships, community relationships. And the story of the friendship between Nadia and Aubrey I found the most intriguing, because Aubrey in a lot of ways is like the opposite of Nadia. Aubrey is a church-going teenager. Her family doesn't go to church, so there's an interesting kind of backstory with her family. But Aubrey has immersed herself into the life of the church and does everything by the book. She is saving herself for marriage. And in all of those ways, it is quite the opposite of Nadia's life. But they form a friendship because Aubrey is really what Nadia needs at that point in her life. And Nadia is also what Aubrey needs at that point. And so they spend a summer together, basically, developing this friendship before Nadia goes off to college. And what ends up happening to the friendship is what happens to a lot of friendships at the point of college, which is, these people meant something to each other, so they stay in touch, but they don't see each other often, so there's a little bit of separation, but those emotional ties are still there. But Nadia goes off to college. She forms new relationships. She experiences the world, and it does really well in it. But then she has to come back to her hometown. So several different things bring her back to her hometown throughout the story. And so the book really follows then the kind of what happens in this community, what happens in these three people's lives, and how the past comes back and affects their present, right? So I just thought it was really wonderful in a moment in which reproductive rights are being discussed in the US, at least quite a bit. I have found that I really wanted to read a book that dealt with it. I don't talk about this in my channel a lot, but I did write my dissertation on abortion. I'll leave it vague like that. So, but I'm always looking for that topic to be dealt with in fiction. And so this is one of the books that tackles that and does it really, really beautifully. One of the things that I discovered in the process of writing my dissertation was that women's lives and women's stories really matter the most. The politics are important, but women's stories, I think, should always be the priority. And listening to the story of women and transgender individuals who have gone through the decision-making process. And this book deals with the topic in that way, like not as a political statement, but as let's look at people's lives. Let's look at a very realistic story of somebody that went through that. And then I like to think of it as like the ripple effects of the choices we make. And it could have been any other topic that's dealt with, but I do find it important that the author centers it around the topic of reproductive rights. And that's, I think, the thing that has stayed with me the most, that it is people's stories, people's lives that really, really matter, because that, like, ultimately that's why politics matters, right? That's why it matters, because it affects our lives, the lives of people we care about, and maybe it doesn't affect our lives. Maybe we don't know that it affects anybody around us, although most likely it does. But my goodness, it affects people. It affects people. The one thing that I had a little bit of an issue with was the mothers. So the book is called The Mothers, and Nadia's mother and kind of her absence plays a central role in Nadia's life. But the mothers in the title refers to the kind of Greek chorus that becomes a kind of narrator in different chapters. So they are a compilation of all the mothers that are part of the church that Nadia's mom attended. And so every so often in the story, we get a chapter told from their perspective, and it's supposed to be like meaningful, totally like a Greek chorus type of thing. And I did not appreciate those chapters. Like at first it was fine, but towards the end it was not. I felt like it was odd, and it didn't add a lot to the story. Like, I don't mind when books end ambiguously or a little bit open-ended, but I just, like, we get chapters told from the perspectives of all these individuals, from Nadia, Luke, from Aubrey, and at the end I kind of wanted something from them, and what I got was the mothers, which I felt was a bit of a distancing from the characters that I've been following throughout the book. So that I didn't like as much, but I kind of saw what the author was trying to do. This is a debut novel, so I am really looking forward to reading more things from Brit Bennett. I think the different stories and the different perspectives in here were woven very beautifully. I also think that this book can really be for anybody, as long as you know the trigger warnings going into this. I think that most people can find something they like in here because she's not preachy about these topics. She kind of just is telling a story where this happens to be, these topics happen to be central to them, but the focus is on the lives of these people. And so I feel like it almost doesn't matter what your politics are, that you will find something in here that you would probably like and might even reinforce whatever your politics might be. So I really enjoyed it. So 4.5 out of 5 stars. If anybody has read The Mothers or is planning on reading The Mothers, let me know. I am planning on reading at least a couple more books that deal with the topic of reproductive justice. Red Clocks is one that I already have on my shelf and that I'm hoping to read this summer, but there are a few others that I am planning on reading. So if you are too, let me know. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.